I never believed in supernatural warnings, or ghosts, or voices returning from the dead. But the night it happened, the night my phone lit up at 2:13 a.m. with a voice message from a number that didn't exist in any database, the night everything shifted, that was the night my past came knocking. And it didn't knock gently. 1. The night always starts quiet. I live alone, not in a creepy way, just in the kids moved out, husband passed away, life narrowed itself into quiet routines sort of way. Every night looks the same. Lights off by 11 p.m. Herbal tea, old TV shows. Sleep. My house sits on the edge of a small town in Minnesota. Quiet, peaceful, uneventful. You can hear snow melt here. You can hear the wood crack as it expands in winter. You can even hear the neighbor's dog breath from across the street. Nothing strange ever happens, except that night. Because that night, the quiet didn't feel peaceful. It felt watched. 2. A voice message at 2:13 a.m. I woke up because my phone buzzed. Just once. BZZZT. I groaned and reached for it. I thought maybe it was one of those emergency alerts about a snowstorm. But the screen didn't show an alert. It showed one new voice message from an unknown number. No caller ID, no origin, nothing. Just a timestamp. 2:13 a.m. I frowned. My first thought was, wrong number. But something about the stillness in the room, the way the air felt heavier, the way the shadows clung to corners, made me hesitate. Still, curiosity won. I tapped play, and my entire body froze. Because the voice that came through wasn't a stranger's. It was a voice I hadn't heard in 12 years. A voice that was buried. A voice I had cried for. A voice that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. A child's voice. Auntie, please, don't open the back door. My heart slammed against my ribs. No. This wasn't possible. I sat straight up in bed, blanket dropping from my shoulders, cold air rushing against my arms. My finger trembled as I replayed it. Please, don't open the back door. There was a pause, a shaky inhale. Then, he's coming. I stopped breathing. I knew that voice. I knew it. But he was dead. Dead for 12 years. Dead in an accident I still had nightmares about. This had to be a trick. A prank. A hallucination. But the way he said Auntie, the slight breathiness, the way his S sounds slurred just a bit, all exactly how he spoke when he was alive. I knew, deep in my chest, this was Ethan, my best friend's son. The little boy who used to follow me around with a stuffed rabbit. The child who died in a freak accident, right in front of me. My eyes burned. My hands shook. Nothing made sense. I replayed it again, and again, and again. Same tone, same panic, same impossible familiarity. But the worst part wasn't the voice. It was the message itself. Don't open the back door. Because my back door, the one leading to the yard, wasn't fully locked that night. I remembered leaving it half-latched, thinking I'd double-check before sleeping. But I never did. And at 2:13 a.m., with that voice in my hand, I suddenly felt like something was standing on the other side of it. 3. The memory I tried to bury. I tried breathing through the panic. It's just your imagination, I whispered to myself. A random kid's voice. A coincidence. But deep down, in that place where truth punches you before you admit it, I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. A moment. A promise. And a sound. 12 years earlier, after the accident, before Ethan died in the hospital, he had whispered something to me. I'll protect you. Auntie. He was fading. Barely conscious. Broken. Hurting. I told him not to talk. He insisted. And then he said something that made my blood turn to ice even back then. If he comes, run. Who, sweetheart? I asked. Heartbreaking. He didn't answer. He never spoke again. Doctors said the boy was hallucinating, traumatized, dying. But he had looked terrified. Like he had seen something, someone, that no one else had. And tonight, the voice that shouldn't exist said the same thing. Don't open the back door. He's coming. 4. Something moves in the hallway. My bedroom felt colder. Unreasonably cold. Like the temperature dropped 20 degrees. The kind of cold that isn't from weather. The kind of cold that feels like breath. Then, creak. A floorboard. Right outside my bedroom. I snapped my head toward the open doorway. Nothing. Only the dim glow of the hall nightlight. But I felt it. Something was there. Watching. Waiting. A shape in the dark. Or maybe a shadow. Or maybe my imagination trying to make sense of fear. But I wasn't imagining the next thing. Because the back door latch clicked. Click. Once. Twice. Slowly. Like someone was lifting it. Like someone was trying to come in. My breath caught. I froze. Every instinct screamed to hide under the blanket like a child. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to hear. But I tapped the notification with a finger that wasn't fully steady. This one was shorter. Just 3 words. He's here now. The audio ended. My heart stopped. No breathing. No thinking. No movement. Just the silence of a house that wasn't supposed to have anything moving inside it. 5. The back door opens. I heard it. The latch. Then the long, slow sound of the door pushing inward. Grrrrrrrk. I felt the air shift. You know that sensation when a door opens somewhere in your home and the air pressure changes? That. The temperature dropped again. My arms covered in goosebumps. Another creak. Another step. Someone, or something, was inside. I grabbed the nearest thing, a lamp, and held it like a weapon. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't check it. I was staring at the hallway, waiting for whatever was coming around the corner. My heart beat so loud, it felt like footsteps inside my chest. Then, a whisper, right behind my doorframe. Low, male, not human, not familiar. A drag of breath, a word that didn't sound like English, but sounded like my name twisted inside gravel. A sound that felt ancient, evil, hungry. I stumbled back, almost falling. Whatever this was, it wasn't a burglar. It wasn't someone living. And whatever had warned me, whether it was Ethan or my imagination or something else, had known. Don't open the back door. But I hadn't opened it. Something else had. 6. The final sound before part 2. In the panic, I finally looked down at my phone. One more message. This time, text. Not audio. Sent at 2:17 a.m. 4 words. Don't let him see you. The sender? No number. No ID. Just E. 1 letter. The same initial as the boy buried 12 years ago. My throat closed. Fear swallowed my ribs. Because this time, the message didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a countdown. And it had already begun. Signs, patterns, and the back door. The worst part about fear isn't the moment something happens. It's the moments after, when every sound feels like a warning, and every shadow feels like it has lungs. After the second voice message, I couldn't stay in bed. My heart was trembling in my chest, and my breath felt thin, like the air was turning to glass. I reached for the lamp and held it tightly in one hand, while I moved toward the bedroom door as quietly as my shaking feet would allow. The hallway was still in a way that didn't feel natural, still in a way that felt like it was listening. 1. The footsteps that weren't mine. At first I thought I misheard. A soft tap, then another, like someone stepping carefully on old floorboards. Creak, creak, slow, measured, not rushed, not panicked, almost as if whoever, or whatever, it was, knew the house better than I did. My throat tightened, and I pressed my back against the wall. I waited. Another sound, this time behind me. A low, dragging step, not from the hallway, but from inside the living room. I felt the temperature fall again, enough to see my breath fog faintly in the dim hall light. No house should get that cold at 2:30 in the morning in late spring. No house should breathe like that. My phone buzzed again in my hand, and I nearly dropped it. Another message notification. Same unknown sender. Same blank profile. Same impossible timestamp. But I didn't open it yet. I wasn't ready. 2. The back door begins to move. I forced myself to step forward, peeking into the hallway. The back door was visible from where I stood. At first it looked still, but as I stared harder, my stomach twisted. The door wasn't fully shut. It was slightly cracked open, just an inch, just enough for a sliver of darkness to slip inside. And it was moving, not swinging, not slamming, just swaying, forward, back, as if something was gently pushing it, or lightly touching it from the other side. The motion was too controlled for wind, too rhythmic for weather, and the house was sealed. No drafts, no loose windows. Something was making the door move, something inside. I tried swallowing, but my throat felt dry, like it didn't remember how. I took one hesitant step toward the door, and that's when the footsteps started again. Behind me, then beside me, then in front of me, a circle, like something was pacing around the hallway, around me. The hairs on my arms lifted. My eyes burned from not blinking. I wasn't alone. 3. The whisper from the shadow. I turned slowly, lamp raised, ready to swing at anything that moved. But there was nothing. Not nothing, but shadows. Shadows that felt wrong. Shadows that didn't match the furniture. Shadows that didn't match the shape of anything I owned. Shadows that stretched in directions the nightlight wasn't casting. One shadow in particular. It stood near the kitchen, long and narrow, like someone leaning against the wall. I stared at it. It didn't move, it didn't flicker, it didn't breathe, but it felt aware. Watching, waiting. I blinked. It grew by an inch, as if it had taken one silent step closer. A chill crawled up my spine so sharp it felt like needles. That's when my phone buzzed again. Not a notification. A voice message. I squeezed the phone so tight my knuckles stiffened. I didn't want to play it, but I also couldn't not. With trembling fingers, I tapped play. A hiss crackled through the speaker, like someone breathing close to the microphone. Then, a voice. A voice I knew. A voice I should not still be able to hear. Auntie, he's inside. My stomach dropped. A shaky inhale from the recording. Don't trust the shadow. My knees almost buckled, because I was staring at a shadow, and it was staring back. 4. The patterns begin. The house wasn't random anymore. The sounds, the cold, the footsteps, they were forming a pattern. A deliberate pattern. Something was moving in a circle around me. Something was pacing. Something was testing the space. Like a predator, deciding how to corner its prey. I tried stepping backward. The shadow on the kitchen wall stretched, following me without moving at all. Like a tall, thin man, except no man could be that long. I turned my head. Another sound came from the living room. A slow scraping, like fingernails across wood. Not sharp, not fast, slow. Deliberate, patient. I knew, deep inside my bones, this thing wasn't here to rob me. Or scare me. It was hunting point 5. The back door slams shut. My instincts kicked in. Run, hide, scream, do something. But before I could move, the back door, the one that had been gently swaying, suddenly slammed shut with such force that the walls rattled. Bang! I screamed. The entire house fell silent. No footsteps, no whispers, no scraping, nothing. Just silence. The kind of silence that presses on your head like water. And then, a single knock. Tock, soft, at the back door. I clapped my hand over my mouth. Another knock. Tock, tock. And then, a third one. Except this time, it came from directly behind me. I spun around. There was no one. But the shadow near the kitchen was no longer tall and motionless. It was crawling, low, like something walking on all fours, dragging itself toward me. 6. Panic sets in. I stumbled backward until my spine hit the wall. The lamp shook in my hand. My breath came in quick, sharp gasps. My phone buzzed again. Another message. My thumb hovered. I knew it would terrify me, but I also knew it was the only thing trying to help. I tapped the screen. This time it wasn't Ethan's voice. It was a different voice. Older, weaker. A woman's voice. My own, but not my age. Older. Like I was hearing myself, from years in the future. A whisper. He feeds on fear. Don't run. Don't scream. Don't look at him directly. My heart cracked open. My future self, warning me? From where? From when? Footsteps suddenly raced across the hallway, fast and heavy, as if someone sprinted from the kitchen to the living room in a split second. I froze. The shadow began to rise. Not naturally, like a puppet, being pulled upright. Longer, taller, thinner, stretching toward the ceiling. I couldn't blink, couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Another whisper came from behind its shape. Too close, too human, too wrong. Found you. I swallowed a scream. 7. The closet door opens by itself, from the far end of the hallway. My coat closet door clicked. Then slowly, painfully slowly, it creaked open. Inside, the coat swayed. Not from air, from movement. One coat slid sideways, as though a hand inside the closet brushed against it. I took a step back, and the shadow took a step forward. I felt tears sting my eyes. I wasn't built for this. I wasn't young. I wasn't strong. I wasn't brave. I was alone in a house, with something crawling out of the dark that knew my name. My phone lit up with another message. This time text. Don't let him touch your skin. My chest tightened. My fingers went numb. Because the shadow was now close enough that I felt the air around me pull, like gravity was shifting, like it wanted to reach me. 8. The house reacts. Lights flickered. The kitchen bulb popped. The hallway nightlight dimmed, and the entire atmosphere in the house changed. It felt like the house itself was breathing, expanding, contracting, straining. Then every door in the hallway slammed shut in rapid succession. Bang, bang, bang. The shadow jolted, as if startled, as if something was interfering. The air warmed slightly. Something was helping me, or protecting me, or trying to. My phone buzzed again in my hand. I was shaking so hard I almost couldn't read. One final message. He sees through shadows. Stay in the light. Part 3 begins now. And then my hallway light flickered once, just once, as if answering the message, before glowing brighter than it had all night. As if someone, or something, was trying to hold the darkness back, just long enough. The shadow that waited 12 years. Auntie sat stiff on the couch, her breath trembling as the house settled into a thick, unnatural silence. The second voice message still echoed in her chest. He's inside. Don't trust the shadow. She didn't want to believe it. She couldn't. Shadows didn't move on their own. Doors didn't shake unless someone touched them. Footsteps didn't echo in empty hallways, unless the house wasn't empty. But to calm herself, Auntie did something she never thought she'd do. She checked the old security camera system she had installed when her son was little, back when she used to worry about him sneaking cookies at midnight. Dusty, outdated, grainy footage, but it still worked. She rewound the feed to when she first heard the back door rattling. Her finger hovered over the play button, her heart tightening as if wrapped in ice. She pressed it. The video flickered, glitched, then stabilized, and Auntie's entire body froze. There, in the corner of the hallway, was a small shadow. It wasn't shaped like a person. Not really. It was shaped like a child. Auntie's breath caught painfully in her throat. She leaned forward, replaying it frame by frame. The shadow stood by the wall, unmoving, but its head was tilted in the same way he used to tilt it whenever he was waiting for her to notice him. No, she whispered, shaking her head. Her voice cracked. No, baby, it can't be you. But the silhouette, the height, the soft round head, the small sloped shoulders. It looked exactly like her son. The same son she had lost 12 years ago. The same son she blamed herself for losing. Auntie's throat closed, tears spilling hot and unstoppable. She pressed her palm to her mouth to muffle a sob, but the grief was too big. Too old, too raw. The wound had never healed. She had only learned to walk around it. Suddenly, the recording glitched again. The shadow took a single step. Auntie's entire body jerked. Then another step. And another slow, soft, deliberate. Until the small silhouette stood directly in front of the camera. For a split second, barely a flicker, Auntie thought she saw eyes inside the darkness. Sad, glowing, familiar. The kind of eyes a child gives when he wants to say something but doesn't know how. Her breath shattered. She whispered, trembling, "What do you want from me?" And then, bang, something slammed in the living room. Auntie jumped so hard she dropped her phone. It hit the floor with a dull thud. The room suddenly felt too small, too cold, too full of something unseen. Footsteps crawled across the hallway, slow, small, rhythmic, just like a child learning to walk again. Auntie covered her ears. No, baby, please, please don't. But the steps kept coming, and underneath them, a faint whisper, a tiny voice, a voice she had not heard in 12 years. Mama. Auntie collapsed to her knees, sobbing, the guilt crashing over her like a wave. Because deep down, in the part of her heart she never dared to touch, she knew why the shadow had come back. He wasn't here to scare her. He was here because she had never forgiven herself. She whispered into the empty air, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But the house did not feel empty anymore, and the shadow was still waiting. The final voice message, truth revealed, Auntie could barely breathe. The tiny voice whispering, "Mama," still rang in her ears, as if the air of the house itself was grieving with her. But then, her phone buzzed again. Another voice message. The screen flickered strangely, like the phone didn't want her to hear what was coming next. Auntie's fingers trembled as she pressed play. A distorted voice emerged, low, cracked, layered with static. But something about it felt familiar. Not the way the child in the video felt familiar. No, this voice felt familiar, in a way that made Auntie's stomach twist. Like she had heard it in a mirror, in a memory, in her own mind. The message said, "Listen carefully. This is your last chance." Auntie froze. The voice wasn't a child's. It wasn't a stranger's. It was her own. Her heart skipped painfully. Older. Tired. Broken. but unmistakably hers. She replayed it 3 times, hoping she was wrong. But no, it was her voice, from somewhere far ahead in her life, her future self. The message continued, trembling with fear and urgency. You don't have much time. When you see the shadow, don't follow it this time. Auntie's hands shook violently. This time, what did that mean? The message crackled again, like the signal was collapsing. 12 years ago, you didn't see what really happened. You tried to save him. But the shadow wasn't him. Auntie's breath caught. Her knees went weak. No, don't tell me that. But the voice pushed through the static, firmer. It feeds on guilt. It wears the shape of the ones we love. And it wants you next. Auntie staggered backward until her back hit the wall. The footsteps she'd been hearing, the small silhouette, the voice calling Mama. Was all of it a trap? Her chest tightened unbearably. The message wasn't over. Her future self spoke again, crying softly. I lost everything the first time. I lost him, and then eventually, I lost myself. Auntie covered her mouth, tears spilling uncontrollably. This is the second loop, the only chance to break it. The last seconds of the message were rushed, panicked. When the shadow comes close, don't look at its face. And then the message ended abruptly. The house fell silent, too silent. Auntie swallowed hard, every nerve in her body vibrating with dread. Then, from down the hallway, she heard it again. Small footsteps, slowly approaching. Auntie's breath hitched. Her heartbeat thundered. This time the footsteps stopped right outside her door. Then a soft knock. 3 gentle taps, just like her son used to knock. Her blood went cold. She shut her eyes tight, whispering to herself, Don't look, don't look, don't look. The doorknob turned. The door creaked open. A presence stepped inside. She felt the air shift. Cold, heavy, wrong. She felt small fingers brush her sleeve. And then, the soft, trembling voice. Mama, look at me. Auntie sobbed, shaking violently, because every part of her heart wanted to open her eyes. But every part of her soul screamed not to. Her future voice echoed in her mind. Don't look at its face. And for the first time in 12 years, Auntie chose to save herself. She whispered into the darkness. I love you, but you're not my boy. The presence froze. The air around her twisted, angry, snarling, collapsing in on itself like a dying storm. A long, inhuman screech tore through the room, and then, silence. When Auntie finally opened her eyes, the shadow was gone. The footsteps had stopped. The house was empty, truly empty. Her phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. Loop broken. Auntie let out a trembling breath. And for the first time in 12 years, the house felt like it could finally rest. And maybe so could she.